Welcome you to the self-knowledge seminar. I'll explain to you first what this seminar is all about and how it works. It's a 2-year seminar which has 6 parts. The first part, it's 60 sessions. It's 30 sessions the first year and 30 sessions the second year. The first 5 sessions have to do with physical harmony, in which we will learn theory about the health of the physical body, exercises, breathing, diet, fasting, and relaxation. We'll cover this rather quickly because we expect that each person has the opportunity to follow yoga classes or to make a personal appointment with someone and create his own series of exercises and other techniques which he will employ at home. Because we believe that the emotional part of the being is the part which is more out of harmony and which creates the disharmony in the physical body, we will give then 20 meetings to emotional harmony. So there are 5 meetings for physical harmony and 20 for emotional harmony, where we will learn to observe our emotional states, to analyze how those emotional states are created, which are the beliefs which are creating those states, and how we can transform those beliefs so as not to suppress emotions, but to liberate ourselves from emotions by removing the cause. So it's not that we're going to suppress our fear or suppress our anger or suppress our hate. We're going to try to find the cause of that and remove the cause, which is some belief. Then we'll have 6 more sessions in effective communication, in which we will learn how to communicate more effectively with loved ones, with friends, with co-workers. That covers the first year of the seminar. It's 30 meetings. That will take us until the end of May. The second year starts with 11 meetings on meditation, in which we learn to meditate and we learn the theory behind meditation and learn the basic prerequisites in order for someone to meditate. Then there's 13 sessions on philosophy, in which we learn what I call universal philosophy, that is the basic concepts which are underlying all religious systems and all philosophical systems. And then the last 6 or 7 sessions is about immortality. We study the process of death, our feelings about our own death and the death of loved ones, and what many sources explain about what happens after death. And we'll investigate that process. So it's 60 sessions which cover those 6 stages. Now, what are the methods which will be used? First of all, each week I will present to you some concepts and some techniques. Some of these techniques will be employed in class, and others you can employ at home. You're not asked to believe anything that you hear, but you're asked not to reject it. What I usually say is, let there be a shelf in your mind where you put everything you're not sure about. And so you don't need to accept what I say, and neither to reject it, but put it on the shelf, observe life, observe yourselves, and gradually over the months, over the years, take it off the shelf and throw it away or keep it, whatever you prefer. But we don't need to immediately accept or reject anything that we hear. An important aspect of this seminar will be your self-observations. At first, those observations will be of your physical body, but then they will be of your emotional body. And so it will be very useful for each of you to have a notebook in which you can keep also your notes from this class, but more importantly, the observations, the daily observations you make of how your body feels, how your mind feels, your various states, so that you can obtain what the title of the class is, self-knowledge. It is to understand ourselves. Now when we say self-knowledge, we're talking about many selves. We're talking about our physical self, talking about our emotional self, our mental self, our higher intellect, and even our divine self. So there are many aspects of our being with which we want to come familiar during the process of this seminar. We will start, of course, with the most physical, the most concrete aspect of ourselves, the physical body. As far as reading is concerned, the materials that we have for this part of the course are not yet available in English. They are available, however, in Greek, and the book is called Αυτοθεραπεία, or self-therapy. So anyone that wants to read concerning what we're discussing now, he can follow along in that book. That which is available in English, there are 4 of the books available at this point in English, and the first one that you will want to start looking through is The Psychology of Happiness, which concerns the emotional harmony, which we'll be getting to after 5 weeks. And that's available in the office. Also, all of the sessions that we will have will be put on cassette and in video cassette, and will be available about a week later in the lending libraries if you want to re-listen to it or if you want to share it with someone else. If you have other persons that are interested in the seminar, encourage them to come within the first 2 or 3 weeks, because then it will be a little late for them to join. So, what do we mean by harmony? The word harmony comes from the Greek word armos, or armosi, which means to fit. For one thing to fit, to be connected with another thing in a way in which there is no problem, no friction is created. So when we say harmony, the word harmony, we mean harmony on many levels of our being. First of all, harmony on the level of the cells. What does that mean? All of the physical functions of this body take place through the interaction and the functioning of the cells of this body. Nothing can happen, not even thought within the body, because there is thought out of the body, but thought within the body cannot occur when these cells are not in harmony, when the nerve cells are not in harmony. So, the first level of harmony that we are interested in creating is harmony at the level of the cells of the body, which means a clean inner environment without toxic wastes, various materials which obstruct the flow of the blood or the functioning of the cells. It's like we have an inner pollution. When the body is full of toxic wastes, the cells become poisoned and are not able to function properly. The second level of harmony is the level of harmony at the level of the organs, that the various organs of the body, the liver, the brain, the heart, the lungs, the intestines, are functioning properly. And then between the organs, the various systems of the body, the circulatory system, the eliminative system, the respiratory system, the skeletal system, the endocrine system. And if you take a look for a moment at this chart here, you will see what we call the hierarchy of the human being, or of the soul, the hierarchy of levels. Each being is a soul, a universal consciousness, which does not start with the physical birth and does not end with the physical death, but is an immortal consciousness, which in each incarnation takes a series of bodies or vehicles in order to manifest itself on the physical level. This manifestation takes place through these various levels. There are various, we're going to ignore some details at this point, which we'll get into it next year. But to put it very simply, there is what is called the higher intellect. This higher intellect is supposedly controlling the mind, supposedly controlling the mind, which is made up of the subconscious and the conscious, which is supposedly controlling the bioenergy, that is the energy body, which then, if there were harmony, would be controlling the nervous system and the endocrine system. And these two systems, the nervous and endocrine system, all the rest of the systems of the body. The problem is that this higher intellect is sleeping. It's not yet awakened, not yet functioning. And so what's happening is there is this interaction between the physical, the energy, and the mental. And when there's a disturbance on any one of these levels, the disturbance is felt on the other levels. So that when I eat improperly, that creates a disturbance in my digestive system, which creates a disturbance in my nervous system, a corresponding disturbance in my bioenergy body, and then in my mind. When I don't exercise and release tension from my physical body, or when I don't release the flow of bioenergy through my energy body, that also creates a disturbance in the mind. On the other hand, negative thoughts, fear, anger, jealousy occurring in the mind disturb the energy body and create psychosomatic illnesses through the nervous system and the endocrine system in the rest of the body. So we're interested in a holistic approach in which we attack the problem of harmony and health at all of its levels. Through the physical body, with proper diet, exercise, breathing, relaxation. Through the energy body, through breathing techniques and specific exercises which release the flow of bioenergy. And through the mind, through analysis, release from negative thought patterns, and the cultivation of positive thinking habits. Eventually, when we learn meditation or through prayer, we'll be interested in connecting then with this higher mind, and through the higher mind, with the divine source. And then our harmony will be kept more permanent because we'll have a connection with this inner source. At this point, however, at this point of the seminar, we're interested in this lower level, that is the physical body and the energy body. And the connecting link is the nervous system and the endocrine system. So we're interested in harmony at each level and between each level. But we're also interested in harmony between the various sub-personalities. It would be great if we were one person. But no one here is one person. We are all schizophrenic. That is, we all have various parts of ourselves which are conflicting. We call these sub-personalities. And we want to look eventually at these sub-personalities which disagree frequently, which have different needs, different desires, different beliefs, and conflict within us, because those inner conflicts then create outer conflicts. There's one basic concept which we will work with throughout this seminar, is that life is a mirror which is continually reflecting to me whatever is within me. And so any conflicts that I am confronting outside of myself are just manifestation of conflicts which already exist within me. So we want to look at these sub-personalities. The next level of harmony we're interested in is harmony between ourselves and the people around us. More specifically with close loved ones, family members, and then gradually with all greater and greater segment of society. Then the next level is harmony between the personality and the soul. The personality and the higher intellect. That there be a cooperation. We're not interested, as some groups would describe it, as the destruction of the ego. We're interested in using the ego as an instrument. It's taking its correct position, its correct place in relationship with higher parts of ourselves. We're not interested in destroying any part of ourselves, but for each part to take its proper place in that hierarchy. We would not allow our steering wheel to govern where we're going. We will tell the steering wheel where the car is going to go. So each instrument in our being has its proper functioning, and that hierarchy needs to be established. In addition to that, we're interested in our harmony with nature also, with the elements of nature, with the animals, with the plants, and with God, with the universal being. So we're interested in harmony on all levels. And we'll start at the lowest level and gradually work upwards. So with that brief explanation concerning the nature of the seminar, we'll now start the first part of the seminar, which is called physical harmony. Our physical body is our instrument on the earth level. We have incarnated for a purpose. Each person has, as a non-physical being, has become a physical being for a purpose. Souls don't incarnate without purpose because it's not a very pleasant process. So to be on the earth, it means you have a good reason to be on the earth because it's not one of the most pleasant experiences. So in order to manifest, to actualize that purpose, the physical instrument has to be in good condition. Because if I don't have a strong nervous system, if I don't have vitality or a stable level of bioenergy, I may know the purpose of my life, I may be very clear about what I want to do, but I may not be able to actualize it because my body becomes an obstacle. At the same time, when the body is not in harmony, it also disturbs the mind and creates negative states. So we're very interested in seeing how we're going to observe the functioning of our physical body as if we're observing our car or our vacuum cleaner or our camera. And we're going to observe it from outside and look at it as an instrument, and how can we put this instrument back into harmony. Now there are three basic factors which govern the state of our physical body today. The first factor is heredity. That is the genes which created this physical body, the genes which we took, the chromosomes which we took from our mother and from our father. Now, why we chose, or how those specific chromosomes were chosen, or how those specific parents were chosen, is a philosophical question, which we're not going to get into at this point. Or if they were chosen, why had those particular parents, and why those two specific genes out of the millions of genes that those parents had, and that combination, if that's chance, or if there is some other factor which may have created, that we'll discuss next year. At this point, we'll just leave it with that. We start out with a specific kind of body which may have certain strengths and certain weaknesses, and they could be in any part of the body or mind. So one person could be born with a weak digestive system, or with weak eyes, or a weak nervous system. This is something with which we start our lives, and something which we cannot change. But the degree of its effect upon us today, we can change. Because two persons can be born with the same hereditary weakness. One can observe the laws of nature and live by them and never be bothered by that, and the other can ignore those laws and become completely deteriorated physically. So it's not a matter of what genes I chose or were given to me in my birth. It's what I do with those and how I live with those in the process. So the first factor is the genes which construct this physical instrument. Now there's a very interesting theory by a biologist, an English biologist called Rupert Sheldrake, who has written a number of books recently. You may be interested in. I don't know the names of the books because I have followed his work through magazines, basically. He talks about a morphogenetic field, which in Greek would be the morphogenetiko pεδίο, that is, a field which gives birth to forms, which would be called in the Eastern tradition the causal body. What he believes is that the chromosomes and the genes of a person are just a physical manifestation of a spiritual field, and that there is a personal spiritual field, a causal field, or a morphogenetic field, and there is a universal, well, there's the human morphogenetic field, and there's also the universal. So there's the personal causal body, there's the human causal body, there's the universal causal body. And that we take our characteristics from this non-physical source. This is something which we will discuss in much greater detail later on. The second factor which governs the state of our body and mind today is the environmental conditions of our childhood years. Those environmental conditions include the type of food that we ate, the medicines which were given to us, the nature of the water and the air which we took in to our body. And so in one aspect, it's the physical environment. And the second level, however, is the emotional environment. That is what we took in emotionally. Interesting studies have been done with monkeys, in which monkeys were given the same food and water, and some were given a real mother, a living mother, and others a dummy covered with fur, a monkey. And the difference in weight gain and development of these two sets of monkeys, which was incredibly different, were those which had the affection of the mother, regardless of the same food and water which they were taking, had much greater physical development, which were much healthier. So we can understand that affection and love and affirmation of ourselves as beings is an important aspect of the creation of the physical body also, not only of the emotional body. So we have a physical childhood environment, and we have an emotional childhood environment which participate in creating the state that we experience now, physically and mentally. If, as children, we had parents who were continually ill, then a thought form is created in the subconscious mind that the body is vulnerable to illness. And if we felt guilt for that illness, if they said, "You are making me ill, you'll be the death of me," then that is also programmed into the subconscious mind, which says, I don't have the right to be healthy because I'm guilty of their illness. And if frequently they said, be careful, you'll get ill, you'll catch a cold, cover yourself, dress differently, don't eat that, eat the other, then again they're putting into the subconscious mind the belief that it's easy for me to become ill. This reminds me of studies which were made in Japan recently, in which children at daycare centers, at certain daycare centers, did not wear shirts in the winter, or they wore just a simple t-shirt, while other children were covered with sweaters and coats. It was in the snow. And these children not only didn't get ill, but they got ill much less. The other children got ill much more frequently, but they saw in the drawings and in the activity and in the energy of these children who were not covering themselves from the elements, but who were experiencing internal heat and an internal power in relationship to the environment, a much healthier psychological attitude. When they drew, they filled the whole page with their drawings, whereas the other children were filling up some corner of the page. And these children did not become ill. So our vulnerability to microbes and our vulnerability to the elements of nature is pretty much a programming rather than a reality. Another very clear example of that is children of the Anastasia, the fire walkers in Greece, who simply believe that they can walk on coals. And they walk on coals. And then the German and French scientists come down and put their thermometers in the coals and put their thermometers on their feet and try to understand why the skin is not burning. Because they don't believe it's going to burn. So the mind has a lot to do with what the body is experiencing. So these childhood programming has a great deal to do with our state of health. Now we have what we call karmic conditions in the body, but those are usually created through the genes. It is through the selection of genes and the parents. And we'll touch on that at another time. So the first aspect which governs a condition of health is heredity, and the second is our environment. And when we say environment, we don't mean the first 4 years of our lives only, although we do mean that specifically. That's very important. We mean until today, until this moment, from our birth. The third factor which creates our health is what we're doing today. It is how we are reacting to the conditions of the past and to the conditions of the present. So one aspect is our reactions to what is going on and our reactions to those limitations which may exist in the body, and whether we respect them and try to heal them in our own way, or whether we ignore them and allow them to worsen. And secondly, whether or not we begin to live in harmony with the laws of nature. First of all, to learn those laws of nature and to live in harmony with those. Man basically is the only being which has choice. The animals and plants do not have that free will to choose to live or not live in harmony with the laws of nature. Man has that choice because man is here to develop, to become co-creator with the divine. And he cannot become co-creator if he doesn't have free will. So he's given the free will to choose. Recently, most people have chosen not to live in harmony with those laws of nature and those spiritual laws. And thirdly, whether we begin to employ certain techniques which will remedy, which will rejuvenate the state of the body so that we can regain our lost harmony. So the power of change is in the present. We cannot change the hereditary factors. We cannot change the past until this moment. But we can change the future because the present is the past of the future. And by changing in this present moment the way I live, the way I think, the way I eat, the way I function, how I go through my day, I can gradually create another kind of body and another kind of emotional life. In general, another kind of life. So with this basic introduction, I would like to look more specifically now, help each person to look more specifically at his physical condition. In order to do that, I would like you to look at the questionnaire which says, diagnose the condition of your physical body. Questionnaire number 1, and it has a small circle with the number 3 up above. For next week, we would ask that you fill this out, fill this questionnaire out, so that you come ready to discuss it in the small groups and to begin to get an idea of what the condition of the physical body is. We want to remember that the physical body is a projection of the mind in the physical world. That is, the example would be that there is a light here, and that this light is spirit. That light passes through a film, and the film is the mind, and that spiritual energy, as it passes through the film, obtains character, obtains various characteristics, which are now mental and emotional, and that then becomes an image on the screen, and that's the physical body. So the image is very concrete, but the physical body is a projection of the mind in physical reality. So we can understand many things about the mind by observing the body. So first thing that we want to check is the condition of the blood, because as we said earlier, everything that happens in the body happens on the level of the cells. So we would like you to make a blood test. Now, if you have made a blood test in the last year, then you don't need to do that. But if it's been some time since you made one, you may want to make an appointment and check these basic aspects of your blood. There's uric acid, cholesterol, calcium, red blood cells, and white blood cells. Now, why do we want to check these out? Because as we said, each person is a sea of cells. And this sea is made up of blood. The cells receive from the blood their oxygen, their nutrients, hormones, the antibodies which protect them from foreign substances, and the blood is that which collects all of the wastes and removes them from the body. So if the blood is not healthy, then immediately the body begins to accumulate toxic waste. And then that goes into the organs, into the joints, into the various parts of the body, and creates dysfunctioning or malfunctioning. Specifically, we're interested in the uric acid because when that builds up, it becomes an agent within the body which collects in the joints, in the gallbladder, the kidneys, in the arteries, the veins, and this creates a situation in which all of these parts of the body begin to clog and malfunction. It leads to arthritis, rheumatic problems, varicose veins, high blood pressure, gallbladder problems. There's a number of illnesses have to do with this accumulation of uric acid in the system. So let's check that out. Secondly, the same is true about the cholesterol. It's another aspect which creates problems, especially in the heart and in the arteries, but also in the gallbladder. And this lessens the space in the circulatory system, which means higher blood pressure. That is, if we take a certain amount of blood and remove the space in which it has to move, the very obvious result is that we have higher pressure in that system. And when those arteries continue to become lesser and lesser because within them all of this waste is accumulating on the walls, then gradually the heart is receiving less blood, and all of the organs. The brain is receiving less blood, and all the organs begin to function less effectively. The same is true about the calcium. On the one hand, we want to be sure that we have enough calcium, so that especially for women, so that we don't have problems with osteoporosis. How do you say it in English? Osteoporosis? Later on in life. And what has been found very essential there is exercise. That is, a lack of exercise gives the message to the body that I don't need all of this calcium in the bones. And the body is very wise. Well, it doesn't like to carry unnecessary weight. When we exercise, we give the message to the body that I need strong bones, and so I need that extra calcium there, and it doesn't throw the calcium out. Also, in each of these cases, we'll have to analyze the complete functioning of the body in order to understand what the cause may be. Because the cause of not having enough calcium could be that I'm not taking enough in, but it also could be that my parathyroid is not functioning correctly, so that although I have enough calcium, the parathyroid, which regulates how much is put into the bones and how much is extracted and goes into the blood, is not functioning properly, and so I have calcium, but it's not going to the bones. I could be eating enough, but not absorbing it. It's not a simple matter in these. I've heard the phrase that there are no illnesses, there are only ill people, meaning that each illness is unique. Each physical problem of each person is in a way unique and has its own unique causes and its own unique therapy. For example, 10 people could have headaches, and the common answer to the headache is pain pills or an aspirin. But that does not solve the problem. It's like taking the dust which is on the floor and just putting it under the rug. The dust is there. The problem which is causing the headache is there. So we're interested in causes, not removing symptoms, but finding causes. For example, it could be from constipation. It could be from neck problems. It could be from eye problems. It could be a lack of circulation in the brain from low blood pressure. It could be hormonal problems, emotional tension. It's not enough to say I have a headache. We have to understand why I have the headache. What is the cause? So as we do this analysis, this diagnosis of our physical body, we're interested in going into depth beyond the symptoms. Because I could have symptoms in my head, but the cause in my intestines, or in my back, or in my stomach. It's important to go deeper. We're also interested very much in the red blood cells and the white blood cell count, because many psychosomatic illnesses can be simply the result of a lack of red blood cells in the body. Fewer are the cases in which there's too many blood cells. If we see that there is a lack of white blood cells, then we know that the immune system is not working very well, and if there are too many, then there is some kind of disease, some kind of danger within the body. At least the body believes that there is, because there are illnesses like allergies in which the body believes that something is dangerous when in actuality it's not. And that's usually allergies and asthma and these kinds of problems come from subconscious beliefs that I am in danger. It interprets some physical substance as dangerous, such as pollen or dust, cat fur, whatever it may be. But the reality is that this is a physical manifestation of a psychological state of interpreting things as being dangerous, because the immune system is not making a correct judgment. It's incorrectly judging something as dangerous which is not. And this may say something also about our psychological state. It may not, because there is also what we call environmental illness, a new illness which we have created recently, because we live in such a toxic environment that the body arrives at a state of intolerability. It can no longer tolerate toxic substance which exists in the environment, and an allergy is created. So I would like for next week for you to fill out this questionnaire. After that, it goes into your measuring of your blood pressure, an evaluation of the circulation of your in your extremities, your hands and your feet, and then for you to list any physical problems which you have had in the past, and you can certainly add to that list anything which is not listed here. And then number 5, list any health problems which you have had in the last 5 years or have at the present. Indicate how long you have had this problem and whether you still suffer from it. That brings us to the next page. Then number 6, reflect on whether these problems, rather the symptoms of these problems, are in any way more or less depending on the time of the day. Indicate when the condition is usually better or worse. I'll explain next week why we're interested in this. We're trying to see what's happening. That is, are my conditions worse in the morning or better in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening? Because by understanding this, we can understand what the basic causes may be. And that has to do also with the next question. Consider whether the following factors affect the problems you have. Indicate for each problem separately whether the following factors alleviate, worsen, or have no relationship. I would suggest a code that the plus sign means that they worsen, the minus sign that they alleviate, and a 0 meaning they have no relationship. So we want to look at humidity, cold, heat, rest, sleep, exercise, work, vacations. There's some people that are ill until vacation time. Others get ill in vacation time. This is all saying something. Some people have a headache all week long, and then on the weekend they're fine, or the opposite. That says something about the environment that they're working in or their home environment. It says something about what's happening here. We're interested in these observations of ourselves. Eating, emotional tension, anxiety, tiredness, and if there's any other factors that you have observed which have an effect on the symptoms which are bothering you, add them and try to evaluate what causes it to worsen and what causes it to get better. Now, there may be some people here who don't have any serious problems. Just choose then the weakest part of your body. Some part of the body may become tired more quickly, may become numb, or may bother you. So just find the weakest part of the body and analyze that. That also leads us to the next question. When you are tired, run down, nervous, or full of tension, which parts of your body are affected? Describe how your body is affected. Do you have pain, discomfort, tension, trembling, muscle spasms? So this can be observed. When we're emotionally upset, or when we're tired or run down, which part of the body shows the first symptoms of this tiredness or tension? The next question, number 9. What are the main contributing factors which cause your body to become tired or stressed or out of balance? Is it food? Is it emotions? Is it that you're not living a life of routine and harmony, that you're not sleeping enough, or you're not resting enough, or you're resting too much, you're not doing anything with your lives? Try to see what are the causes. What do you consider the strongest, healthiest parts of your body? And what do you consider to be the weakest parts of your body? They may not be, but you may consider them to be. What we want to know is what you feel about your body. What parts of your body do you like the most? And are there any parts of your body which you do not like, or from which you feel a lack of contact? Either because they give you problems, or you feel that they're not beautiful and they spoil your appearance, or that they're dirty, and such as the sexual organs, that they're not something good. So which part of the body do we feel alienation from or separateness from? Based on the information which you have given above, now mark out the weak points of your body. So we move on to sheet number 7, in which for next week I would like you to mark on this diagram the parts of your body in which you observe that there is some kind of malfunctioning. You may want to use various symbols or colors which indicate intensity of the problem. If it's a general problem, such as a circulatory problem, you can either put notes on the side or just color in all the body, indicating that circulation is not good. And so if I have a problem with my shoulders, then I'll mark the shoulder areas in the front or in the back. If there's a problem with the headaches, I'll mark the head. And what happens when we do this is that we have now a diagram which shows us this physical instrument. And next week we're going to learn how to analyze that diagram, because this instrument has a plumbing system, it has an electrical system, it has a transportation system, it has an energy system. And when we find that there are parts of the body in which the plumbing is not working, or the electrical wires are not connected well, or the energy is not flowing, the question is, what can I do to begin bringing the healing energies of the body, which are the healing energies of the universe, to that part of the body? So in order for us to continue our discussion next week, you will have to have already made that analysis. So for next week, our work is to fill out this questionnaire and then to mark on this diagram the parts of the body which we experience problem, pain, weakness, a lack of feeling, dysfunctioning, whatever it may be. So I have nothing else to say today. If you have any questions about what we have said today, or about the seminar in general, or what we're going to be doing next week, you can ask any questions now concerning today's session. Are there any questions? Turn them.
I would have one, but I think maybe your answer would be too lengthy. You might have put me off for another time.
Well, if it is, I'll tell you.
What you said about our reflecting, that the conflicts that we experience are a reflection of our own conflicts, that I don't understand.
Yeah. It's probably difficult to believe in the beginning. But deep analysis of myself and thousands of other persons has proved this to me. That every time that I analyze what is my conflict with this person, what is my problem with this person, I realize that what is actually happening is that there are two parts of myself which have not come into harmony, and that really this person is just mirroring to me one aspect of myself with which I have not accepted, or I have not been able to communicate with, or in some way there may be a judgmental part of myself, for example, a part of myself which judges me, and I receive judgment from you, but your judgment of me and your ability to judge me and the importance I will give to your judging me is just a result of the fact that I judge myself. And if I come into harmony with that reconciliation, with that part of myself, and stop judging myself, the most probable thing is that you'll stop judging me, because I will not be attracting from you that which I am doing to myself. And secondly, if you judge me, I won't give it much attention, because I'll be feeling okay with myself. You see? So it's two aspects. We attract from other people that which we expect, and that which we do, and that which we are. But secondly, we interpret what other people do, and we give importance to what other people do to us based on our own beliefs and our own inner conflicts. I won't say much more. I will just say that this will become more and more obvious when we go into the emotional harmony and we begin to observe our emotional reactions and observe how these reactions connect with the reactions of other persons. So we'll just leave it there for now. Any other questions? Ferris?
Well, I have one question on, in doing the check, on the blood check, Do we try to get numbers for, say, the calcium or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, and I won't give you the numbers which I have written here because this, what I've done is but 15 years ago, because they keep changing, and any analysis that you have will give you the physical space in which it should be. That is, it gives you the lower, the normal, it gives you the lowest and the highest, and if you find yourself on the borderline of the lowest or highest or out of that, then you begin to ask what's going on. Any other questions? Okay. Then we can close the cameras and the cassette players. And we'll talk about